Hello again. It's been a really long time since I did my last video, and that's purely because, like lots of you, I've been absolutely maxed out over the summer. For me, it's been all of the various types of work I do in social media, and probably one of the biggest pieces that I do just for fun is I'm a co-founder and run a local restaurant award in West London. Which is of no financial gain to me, but it's a huge amount of fun and it's a big passion of mine. And it's taken up pretty much every single evening since about March time to get going and get sorted again this year. So if you do follow me on LinkedIn already, you'll know that. You'll listen to the podcasts already, and maybe you're following me on my foodie channels, and maybe you're in West London and maybe you voted in the awards. But I'm halfway through that now, and I've got a brief hiatus between the voting period for the restaurant awards and now creating, running, setting up an event for the actual awards ceremony. So I thought I'd take this brief breathing space to get some stuff down on video around my everyday work, which in social media. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today was my most recent article on the ClickJump website, which is around influencer marketing and what it is. Now, influencers have been pretty high on the conversation list for a few months now in the world of social media. And as you might know already, it's because platforms like Instagram are taking away the like count. And the like count for influencers is a big one. It's the sort of the thing that drives the algorithm a lot of the time for their content getting seen and getting shown and getting more followers in an organic way. And obviously with Instagram looking at removing the like count, it looks like it will change how we use and work with influencers. We've also now got the discussion coming up with Facebook themselves around removing the like count from posts there too, but that's far less imminent. But it does mean we're changing how we look and work with influencers, and time will tell what happens next. But for the meantime, influencers are still a really great and important part of a marketing strategy when it comes to brands getting messages out there, getting products to market, and getting buy-in from their user base or their audience. So, what is influencer marketing? How does it work? What can you do with it? An influencer, if from the most basic level, is someone who is highly engaged on social media. And typically has a really big following of people who follow what they do, like what they do, engage with what they do, and look at them as a trusted advisor. And that's the reason why, of course, brands love to work with influencers, because they want to get a piece of that pie. They want to have that trust with the audience. And so typically the end result is get more sales of whatever product or service they're offering. Now, the most popular platform, as most people will guess, straight off the bat is Instagram for influencers. It's kind of where influencers really came into their own in many ways, with around, I think, 89% of people preferring that platform for influencer engagement. Next on the list is YouTube, which comes in at around 70% of people who like to use that platform for influencer engagement. And the reason those two sit so high up the food chain is because influencer work is typically extremely visual, so it's images, videos, and that's what people like to engage with when it comes to influencer work. Next on the list, when it comes to influencer marketing, is Facebook, and whilst it's still visual, there's a lot more text, a lot more copy behind that. And the reason Facebook does so well is it's still the biggest social media platform out there, with around 2 billion users as it currently stands, so it gets a lot of airtime. And then after that, we start looking at blogs coming in next, and so on and so forth. But yeah, so those are kind of your key platforms to go for when you're looking at working with influencers. Now, the reason you want to look at working with influencers is because when we've looked at stats and studies, it's still a very high number of users who find brand-created content quite annoying. They don't want to engage with it. They find it quite disingenuous. In comparison to how people view influencers. So around 82% of people say that yes, they would follow the advice of an influencer, trust them to be a good advisor of a product or a service that they might be interested in, because they already like and engage with that person. So what kind of influencers should you be looking for? So we've seen a big shift away, which is something I mentioned in a previous blog, a big shift away from the really big influencers. So the ones who are the 300,000 follower strong influencers on Instagram. Whilst that's a great following, there's been a lot of questioning going on around how genuine or how engaged is that audience actually. There's been a big furore with people finding out that influencers have bought followers, and thus they have very low engagement. So brands are paying thousands of pounds or dollars to work with an influencer to post a single image, only to find out that the audience they're posting to are bots, fake bought accounts, and so the ROI on that isn't very high. The shift towards smaller influencers has been considerable. So we're now looking at a micro influencer being someone who is far more interesting to a brand to potentially work with, because usually they are very organic. There is no kind of signs or hints or any evidence of them having bought followers. They are typically genuine, engaged followings that they have, and therefore they are spot on and a perfect, really targeted audience for a brand to want to work with and get in front of. And when we say micro-influencer, we're looking at anything from as small as the 1,000 users strong influencers to around the 5,000-10,000, probably tipping the scales at 10 to 15 strong. So those are real micro-influencers whose followings are really, really interesting to brands. So that's who we want to look at working with. So yeah, in a nutshell, influencers still remain extremely important. They are still something you should be considering when it comes to your social media strategy, what you're looking at, what you're doing in terms of getting your product out to market. And yeah, as I said, only time will tell what's going to happen next, given the change in like counts when it comes to Instagram and Facebook. So any questions, just drop us a direct message. Drop me a direct message if you have any questions or you want to find out more. And of course, have a read of the article, which kind of covers all of this in written word. And keep an eye out for our next articles and our next blog posts, which will be coming out shortly on our vlog page on the website, on the ClickJump website, and also on our YouTube channel. So do subscribe to that to keep up to date with all of our videos at ClickJump UK. Thanks very much. Have a lovely day.